I would like to welcome each and every one of you. And when I hear what you're talking about and what you're involved with is a passionate thing with me. Not only the artifacts, which I'll get into a little bit later, and I have in my mind decided that there are two kinds of people. The first kind is sitting right here. The second kind, I'm not bitter to them, but for some darn reason, they cannot look ahead and see the future of what they're doing to their own world. Slowly, we're destroying it. I am supposed to not get sidetracked, right, Sarah? But I could go on quite a bit about that, and it probably will come out as I speak about the artifact collection here, and which was its popularity or its value, really, I had no idea. I don't know if it has any value in money if somebody stole them, but I would just like to hold on them as long as I can. I wanted to first off give some credit to 3 or 4 people that started me off on something of that sort, connection with the Native Americans. They know about them, and not only as a child, realizing it right here around where you were down to Head Gates, that big area, and supposedly after you hear from your ancestors or your parents and so forth, stories that have been handed down over generations, because my mother's side of the family, the Westcotts, the original settlers here out on Sebago Lake, and spent hours out there on the lake, and he had collected. I didn't see it, but someone told me, and I don't know, but he mentioned it, because he used to visit here with my parents, all my parents up there at where he lived, and about the huge number of pieces of artifacts that he had collected, like a big box. And so that sort of set me to thinking at an early age and about looking for artifacts. So they just intrigue me. I guess the only way I can justify or say to anyone, how come I got interested in something like that? And I suppose also being a young person, like cowboys and Indians and all that type of thing, that influenced me. For some reason, I never can understand, as I got up to as early as age 12 or 13 or 14, I had this terrible, I guess the word is innate. I finally had to go look it up, see exactly what it means. It's something that's in you. And you can't control it. It's your passion. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of you here and some other areas that you have a passion for something. And so this fellow's name is Dick Doyle, and his position is he's a plumber. But he is an amateur archaeologist and president of the archaeology amateur for the state of Maine. And he has been here numerous times. Had a nice talk with him. And he could look at those and he could tell you almost exactly where those stones came from. I found them, and I'll get in more detail about it. I found all of them in an area probably twice or three times the size of this barn. Every one of them, except the one, if it's there in a single case, that was a gift. But I do know where it came from. It came from Richardson Lake in the Rangeley's, and it was given to me. Other than that, all of those were ones I collected over probably but I should get back to the Indian artifacts.
I think you're going to tell us about Chief Pullen.
Yes, I think I should, because this was after that. Again, as a child, growing up here, and I spent a lot of time whenever I could, if I wasn't out racing all around through the woods in all different directions, that just conversation here in the house, that Chief Pollen's skeletal remains were here as a knee-height type closet in the old original part here. I'd never seen them, but the stories kept coming up. And one of our relatives down there, I was out on my walk, and he was sitting outside. I was kind of interested, having a cocktail. I walked down just to say hello, and he said, "You know, Chief Pollen is buried right up there with that big pine tree." I said, "Well, I know from all I heard that they were here in the house for a period of time, and I think it probably was a superstition way back then. They wanted them out. So they were taken out and buried, and I've been told 2 or 3 times the general area, which I don't know. I guess I could point out to anyone if they're interested. But I can't really prove that. But it makes sense because when the Cumberland-Oxford Canal was dug all the way from down back here, and by the way, the locks down here are called the Westcott locks from my mother's side of the family. And as they were digging in, the ditch for the canal down here nearby, that they unearthed a skeletal remains. And over the top of the skeletal remains was a good-sized birch tree. And it was put there purposely to go over the roots that he was in, the place he loved and wanted to be. Going back to the early times, and of course, I became very interested in what he was involved with. And again, I kept saying, why do I need to know this? What is it, the drive I have to know all about these things? And he was a very, very tall, unusually tall for Native Americans. They were not tall people like theaters and things show. They probably might have averaged 5'2", 5'5", and that type of thing. But this skeletal remain he was a little bit over 6 feet tall. And of course, not having what they have today, DNA, and be able to check and so forth, but they had took one of the thigh bones to a doctor or someone, a pathologist, whatever they had back in that period of time. That was early on. I don't know if they had a pathologist or not, but someone who was an authority on that. They just measured the thigh bone, and they knew how tall this person was, and it was something like close to, I believe, 6'1" and 6'2", and that was the bones that were here. And the reason that happened when they were digging the canal, and most of it was dug by Irish Americans who'd come to this country. The situation was when they discovered the skeletal remains that they found, of course, these bones and so forth. And I got even more excited, and that's how I finally got Nathan Hamilton here. It wasn't the first time for this archaeologist. And when I was having the main part of the house redone, and down inside of 2 walls was a bag of old bones. And so I thought, oh my God, there's some of the bones of Chief Paulin. But he got over here within a short period of time. But he looked at them. He said, no, those are not human. But I still can't quite accept these. Some were fairly long bones. Who in the world would ever drop them down between 2 walls in a place, unless you tore the place apart? You never would find them. So he wanted to know if he could take them to the college and use them with his students. I said yes, because I don't know what I'd do with it in the future. Yeah, it would be that type of thing.
He was rumored to be tall, too, right?
Yes, they knew that he was unusually tall, but he was totally devoted to his people in the tribe, or whatever term you might use. I don't know. I would say probably tribe, this area. And I think Sarah has somewhere a list of the Indians, Native Americans that were around here. And I don't know, it begins with R, it's over there, yes.
I don't know what tribe is he from.
Who?
What group, what tribe?
The Abenaki?
As what?
Abenaki?
No, it's one's got R on it. Is there a list there? Or did we put up a list?
Probably in the box.
Yeah, it would be, if you want to dig it up. And you can pass it around, because there were at least 6 or 8. So when I'm asked that question, I can't really tell you, because I think it changed. If you notice on it, my artifacts go back numerous years. All the stuff should have been in the big box, or I left them on top. Okay. You want me to keep going? All right. Okay. And I'm sure the people want to know that. So I began to read more about Chief Paulin and his desperate efforts to try to prevent the dams being built between here and where the river enters Casco Bay, way down toward Falmouth. And he supposedly walked all the way to Boston and pleaded with the governor to have them do a fish ladder or something or other, but they never. He ordered it, the governor, but they never did it. That collection that I was able to begin with, and the first one I talked with when I was, 12, 13 years, was Frank Kenneth, because I'd heard about his. And so I was offered after that, going in all different places, and every rock looked like something the Indians would use. And I would take it to Frank. He had every reason in the world to laugh, but he didn't. So he kind of guided me into an area. He said, you want to look for little chippings and so forth. And once I found them, I would spend hours down there. And of course, with S.D. Warren, as it was called, running 24 hours a day, this area down here, it would drop 7 to 8 feet. And then through the last of July, August, September, and October, I could almost walk into that area. And a few times on a nice day, I had the worst looking old flat bottom boat. That's all I've ever owned here, and I don't know if I owned it or not. I think it broke loose from somewhere, and it was so bad nobody wanted to come get it. So I found that, and then different ones. The oars did not match. They were different, and no less. I got around down here pretty good with them. So that was really the basic thing in the background that got people interested in seeing them. If it hadn't been for Dick Doyle, and his father, meeting him, probably no one would have ever seen this at all, because I would bring the pieces home and put them in a shoebox, and I had just tissue paper I'd lay over, so I had at least a couple of shoe boxes with artifacts in it, and I was trying to protect them after they'd been in the water, ice, for over 1,000 years, and it was just, I did not understand and know. But they sort of are connected because of Holland's desperate effort to try to allow, see, they starved them out. Basically, that was a big food. One of the major food sources was fishing. And he failed. And it went on like, from my understanding, he was a very bright, intelligent person. I said he did it twice. I'm not sure about the second time. Walked all the way to Boston, and I'm not sure when you say walk. They had a nice little, I call it superhighway, on rivers, lakes, and streams that they got around very, very well. We think it must have been horrible for them to try. No, they had no problem, and they didn't pollute the air either. And they had a marvelous laugh. I could not think that's before present, and I don't know how to interpret that. Many of them are old and some are not. You take that one, see, that is not old at all. Those two right there, I found them at the end of what used to be Secker Brook that ran from Little Sebago across Chapman Pond. Ran across Chapman Pond and then into a brook that emptied into the basin. And it's not there anymore. That brook is not there. And some of you people probably know about it. The thing way back when I was a youngster, I walked along, and again, the water's about this deep, beautiful sunny day, and then those two things laid out just as plain as could be. And so I would say out of most of them, that those two are precious. And then the other ones you had about, many of them were tools, and you would have to use your imagination. This is an axe.
Did you know right when you found this, what you had found,
no,
or did you
I wasn't quite
piece of
sure.
rock?
I pick it up and study it. I could tell by these things, and this thing, it was a gouge. It's a gouge, when they probably made a canoe or something. That would be difficult. But they had a method with leather that they could fasten. A lot of times they take a stick or pole or something, split it, and ram the top part in. Then they would bound it with leather when it was fresh and manipulated. And then as it dried, it shrunk, and they had an axe. They call them ads. That's the correct thing.
In this letter, it's from the Maine Historic Preservation Commission, and I think you shared with them, but the last sentence says, the enclosed article on banner stones may be of interest since you have half of one of yours in your collection, and the one I wrote about comes from the cottages area east of Lindsay Island. The whole area of the basin outlet must have been a major population center for thousands of years, based on that artifact that you
Good, I'm glad.
Wow.
You know,
That's
was that in the box?
That was in the box.
Okay, I want information in there in case someone else, you with another group or whoever, may want to do another program, and that someone can tell. When I pick up something like this, you would have to notice, like, see there's a piece broken off there, but very likely they might have used it. I can't get it on my
It says it's a pestle.
yeah.
Pestle fragment.
Yeah, see, they know the names of those, that they could use like a
Grinding form.
pestle block type thing and grind, or soften hide, or what, they had a model. I can't tell you in my mind, really. They had such a beautiful one. They had, you know, there were very few conflicts. When you look at the arrowheads and spearheads, most of those were never ever used for fights.
Yeah.
That was their, even tiny little things, they'd try to spear a fish with it. No, there were conflicts sometime, but it was incidental. They've been maligned as savages and murdered by the thousands. We never really hear that much about the Native American, and well, they weren't even American citizens until 1934. And it was just,
Crazy.
I was happy.
It is.
Thinking about them and how easily and comfortably they resided. A lot of times, once in a while, I think, gee, I wish I could go back there and live with them.
Yeah.
I'd love it,
Yeah.
because my just exploring things around. I don't know, I probably would not be very good at killing an animal. That would be a difficult, they'd have to find another job for me. What it would be, but I honestly, I don't know. Because it's different, you know, back in that era, because it was a pie, but they honored, whatever they killed,
Yeah.
they, whatever term you want to use, they had a thank you through the spirit of any animal they killed. And most of them used every single piece of whatever they killed. They used it to make something, if it was a type of weapon. Some of those you can see the shape of them, that it would be a type of thing. They would scrape inside a deer hide or an animal and make a clothing and shirts and pants and boots and all. I would definitely say, whenever possible, to bring the young folks in, and the group, as you were brought, what, 2, 3, 4 times, I think?
7 or 8, 9,
Who were
maybe.
middle school children, and they seemed very much interested in the artifact collection, and also about Chief Holland. And Sarah take them on tours of old places. All of those are just so interesting to me, because yesterday, one of my caregivers, talking with them, I said, you know, this is not right, that we have these many people in our past that lived and did things. And I said, in my mind, they shouldn't be forgotten. Don't give up. I was transformed at 12 or 13 years of age, and I just thrived on nature and the things were out there. I could stop, sit like this, and I'd watch an ant hill, and watch them busily in and out, in and out, in and out, and that type of thing. And I'd study little things around trees and so forth. It was just something, I guess you call it innate, that I had to do.